Bless up everyone, in this special presentation on the historic coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen, as we gather to explore the grandeur and significance of this momentous event that took place on November 2, 1930, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The coronation of Haile Selassie I and Empress Menen was a defining moment in Ethiopian history, marking the culmination of Emperor Haile Selassie's visionary leadership and the unification of the nation. Thousands of people from Ethiopia and around the world gathered to witness this extraordinary ceremony, which showcased the rich cultural heritage and traditions of Ethiopia. On the 17th Mascarum 1909, equals 27th September 1916, Haile Selassie I was chosen heir to the throne and regent, with Queen Zodatu occupying the throne, and when he had patiently carried out the work of government, for 14 years, in my office of Regent Plenipotentiary, Queen Zodatu died on 24th Magabit 1922, equals 2nd April 1930, and, consequently, on the morrow I have proclaimed Emperor and assumed the throne. As regards the succession to the throne and crown, we have read in history that, at a time when Ethiopia lived in isolation and before she had established relations with foreign countries, the prevailing custom had been, at the demise of the emperor, for his death often remained carefully unannounced. They would then place his son and heir on the throne and crown him immediately that very day. Only after the son's reign and coronation had been announced by proclamation, would they give a ceremonial burial to the dead king. At other times again, at the demise of the emperor, the officers of the royal household would take him clandestinely and bury him, before anyone could hear about it, and on the morrow, they would place his son and heir on the throne, after they had conducted the royal installation service and crowned him. The death of the father and the new reign of the son would be announced by proclamation at the same time. But now that Ethiopia had concluded treaties of commerce and friendship with 12 foreign governments, had entered the League of Nations, and had established firm friendly relations, we were convinced that it was proper in accordance with the practice of the most civilized governments in the case of their coronations to invite to his coronation the countries which had set up legations and consulates in Ethiopia. But as it would require a long time to dispatch the letters of invitation and to await the arrival of the delegates, as well as to make all the necessary preparations for the coronation, we arranged for the ceremony to be postponed for 7 months. After this, letters of invitation were written and dispatched to the kings and presidents, some of whose names follow here: to h.i.m. George V, King of England, Emperor of India; to h.i.m. Victor Emmanuel III, King of Italy; to h.i.m. Hirohito, Emperor of Japan; to h.i.m. Wilhelmina, Queen of Holland. Just to name a few. Furthermore, the Polish government initiated the conversation to conclude a treaty of commerce and friendship with the Ethiopian government, but by the time his coronation day came, these negotiations were still not completed. The Poles then demonstrated their goodwill by declaring, although the treaty is not yet signed, we shall send an envoy to the coronation, since we have mutually manifested our thoughts of friendship. We therefore informed the President, M. Moskiki, that we intended to receive their envoy with great pleasure. This mark of friendship which the Polish government had shown us at that time remained forever engraved in Ethiopians' hearts. Again, as we have explained before, since in earlier times the coronation was held on the very day the son and heir ascended the throne, there was no time to invite the princes and nobles of each region. But now that we had arranged for our coronation to be postponed for 7 months, letters of invitation were sent all over Ethiopia to princes and nobles and all the headmen, the priors of monasteries and the deans of cathedrals, that they should come and participate in our joy. A letter of invitation was also written to Abba Amda Maryam, the prior of Dubrabizan, which had remained well known and esteemed in its importance from early times when the kings of Ethiopia had consecrated it as a monastery, although today it is within the Italian colony of Eritrea. As the following months were part of the rainy season, instructions were transmitted to all to stay put to prepare for the journey, to set out at the end of the month of Mascarum, early October, which the rainy season had passed, and to reach Addis Ababa towards the 20th of Tekamt, equals 30th October. After these invitations had been dispatched to the foreign governments and the great within Ethiopia, arrangements were made for the principal streets of Addis Ababa and the houses along each street to be repaired, as well as for electric lights to be installed along the main streets and in all the houses by which the guest would pass. The imperial vestments, the crown and the orb, the imperial scepter, the sword, the ring, and all similar things were specially made of gold and diamonds. Formerly the only distinctive mark of honor for princes had been their golden headgear. But now we arranged that the golden headgear should be for races who have been appointed by virtue of hard work and services, while for the crown prince and for princes of royal descent we had made a pearl-studded headgear, coronet, smaller than a crown but excelling the golden headgear in size and in beauty of workmanship, for through ladies of our family and the wives of princes golden diadems, smaller than those for princes, and corresponding to their rank. For military commanders, i.e., for dejaz matches, vestments and headgear were made of lions' manes that were interlaced with gold and embroidered with velvet. Furthermore, gold medals were manufactured in large quantities on which the effigies of myself and Empress Menen were engraved together, which were to be given as souvenirs to foreign guests coming to our coronation, either by invitation or of their own volition, as well as to notable and important persons from within the country. Subsequently, between Tecumseh 8th and 20th, i.e. October 18th to 30th, the foreign envoys who had been invited began to arrive at Addis Ababa, each in his turn. Just to name a few names of the envoys: H.R.H. the Duke of Gloucester, envoy of h.m. the King of England; H.R.H. the Prince of Udine, envoy of h.m. the King of Italy; H.E. Jonkheer Hendrik Moritz van Heersma de With, envoy of h.m. the Queen of the Netherlands. All these guests expressed to us their pleasure at the ceremonial reception which we arranged for them upon their arrival. Furthermore, we had caused to be set up, in the vicinity of the Royal Church of St. George, a statue of the great Emperor Menelik II. The work was eventually completed and it was then determined that it should be inaugurated on the eve of the coronation. Had arrived with much ceremonial to be present thereat. We made a lengthy speech explaining the propriety of erecting a statue to Menelik II. When we had finished, we gave the honor of uncovering the veil with which the statue had been wrapped to H.R.H. the Duke of Gloucester. He approached the monument, removed the curtain, and when the statue was seen the joy in the hearts of Ethiopians was inestimable. On this day, towards evening, the patron, treasurer, placed the imperial state vestments and the crown, the orb, the Empress's state robes and crown and diamond ring on a chariot and took it in a great parade to the Royal Church of St. George, where he consigned it to the Archbishop and where it remained all night to be prayed over. The Emperor and the Empress, the family and princes and nobles went to the church at midnight. It had been arranged that the foreign guests should only arrive at 7 o'clock in the morning, and they then took their seats which had been prepared on the right and on the left of the throne according to their rank. The seating order provided that Ethiopian princes and nobles should be interspersed among the foreign guests. Before the Ser Ada Negs, the royal ritual, began, the Archbishop, Abuna Qerellos, approached with a gospel bound in gold and asked them to complete the following words of the oath. 1. The Emperor and Empress should strengthen the Orthodox faith which had remained steadfast in Ethiopia from the days of the holy kings Abriha and Asbiha, and that they should keep, without disturbance, the laws and ordinances which the Orthodox Church had laid down. 2. That in all they are doing, by their authority and their power, to the people in the imperial realm of Ethiopia they should act with consideration for the interests of the people according to law, as well as with kindness and with patience. 3. That they would permanently maintain the laws they had established after submitting them, of their own free will, to the council for advice, and that they would safeguard the entire Ethiopian realm and people in accordance with established law and the ordinances of the council. 4. That they would assist, by their goodwill and authority, the establishment of schools at which secular and spiritual education would be developed in Ethiopia and in which the Gospels would be preached. After the completion of the swearing-in ceremony, affirming their willingness to maintain all that is laid down above, they appended the signatures thereto. Subsequently, the Archbishop assigned to the 6 bishops their respective functions in the coronation service, and then prayers were begun. Of these bishops 5 were Ethiopians. The 6th was Abuna Yosab, who had come from Egypt as the envoy of the Patriarch of Alexandria, Abuna Johannes, to partake in the joy of the Emperor and Empress coronation and to convey his blessing. After the Archbishop and bishops had completed the service, preforming readings and prayers, with the choir singing, the Archbishop approached and anointed them with the oil of kingship and placed the imperial crown on them. At this moment their heir to the throne, H.H. Asfa was San, removed the coronet from his head and, when he knelt before us, the archbishop approached with a gospel and asked him to take the following oath: 1. That they would honor his father with his whole heart and be obedient to him. 2. That they would not seek, in association with evil men, what they had not given them of their own will. 3. That they would keep the laws which they had established after referring them, to their own free will, to the council for advice. After he had sworn to fulfill this, they appended their signature to it. Subsequently the coronation service of the Empress commenced. The procedure for the enthronement of the Empress is today very different from what it used to be previously. According to our historical study of the earlier practice, the Empress was not anointed with the oil of kingship on the grounds that she did not share in rulership with the Emperor. The crown, being merely symbolic, was very small. It was in the palace that the Emperor placed the crown on her head and not in church. This occurred on the third day, for it was not permitted for her to be crowned on the same day as the Emperor. But now it was determined after consultation, and was accordingly carried out, that, except for the regal anointing, the archbishop should place the crown on her and put the diamond ring on her finger, and that this should be on the same day jointly with the coronation of the Emperor. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more. Heart of love, bless up.